So, who makes the better fish and chips? Is it Whitby or is it Scarborough? Well, today I'm going to find out because I'm going to be trying some of the best rated fish and chip shops from both places to see who's best. So let's start off first with Whitby. So one of the best rated fish and chip shops in Whitby is a place called the Magpie Cafe. The place is not even open yet and there's already a queue, so it must be good. There's a takeaway section on the right and a dining section on the left. Today I'm going to be trying out the dining section. The inside is a pretty cozy place with some seats having a great view looking out. The menu is a comprehensive one with not just fish and chips on offer, although I think that is the most popular option looking around at other tables' orders. So I'll be going for the 9-ounce regular portion of haddock, but there are other sizes and cod too if you prefer that. On each table you get the usual salt and vinegar plus a bottle of ketchup and the Magpie Cafe's very own tartar sauce, which I'll definitely be trying out later on. I ordered a pot of tea as well, which also comes with an extra jug of hot water, which a few places do now. I'm not sure if that's a recent thing or if it's always been like that, but I've only experienced it recently. You get a tea strainer as well, so I'm guessing the tea is a loose leaf variety. And you get a nice little jug of milk on the side. Let's get making this tea. So tea strainer on, and we've got to make sure we don't get any tea leaves in the cup, as there's nothing worse than having loads of tea leaves in your tea, like when you have a hole in your tea bag. Let's add in a bit of milk and give it a stir. It's a good tea. Right, so here is the Magpie Cafe's fish and chips, and it actually looks pretty incredible. So let's have a closer look at what I ordered. You get a big piece of haddock with some really nice looking batter, and that's served with a wedge of lemon on top. A decent portion of chips just behind. There's a little more than what you can see, as there's some under the fish. You get a pot of mushy peas on the side, and a good portion of curry sauce in its own container. This looks amazing. Let's dig in. The first thing we always have to do is put on the salt and vinegar. So let's get a generous helping of each, and that should set us up nicely for the meal. I'm going to start off with the chips. They're a nice golden colour and the usual thick chip shop kind. Let's go in for a taste and see what they're like. Very nice. There's a slight crisp to the outside, a good fried flavour. The inside is soft and fluffy, and you get a subtle potato flavour too. It's a good chip. Let's try out the mushy peas next by dipping in a chip. It's a thick texture, which is my preferred way. The colour is good, so not too overly artificial. Let's try it out. Delicious. This is some good mushy peas. You get the pea flavour, but there's a bit of a tang to it, so maybe some vinegar or lemon juice in there. Either way, really tasty. Sometimes I think the sides like mushy peas and curry sauce get a little bit neglected by some places, and they only focus on the fish and chips. But I think having a good side can elevate a fish and chips as opposed to a bland side which can distract from it. With that said, let's try out the curry sauce. Nice thick texture again, coats the chip perfectly, and no drips. Let's see how it tastes. Pretty good. So this curry sauce is more of the fruity kind. There's only a slight curry flavour. It's more sweet and fruity, but there is a kick though. For me, I would prefer a little more curry flavour and less fruitiness, but I guess that's down to personal preference. Right, I think it's time to try out the fish. And what a great looking piece of fish this is. The batter is a nice golden brown colour, so perfectly fried. My mouth is watering just looking at it. Let's try it. I'm going to start by cutting it in half to see the fish in the middle. And there it is. It's fried with the skin on here, so it's going to be interesting to see if that affects the taste and texture. I've cut off a little piece with everything on, so the fish, batter and the skin. Let's try it. Delicious. The batter is light and crispy, not too heavy. It's a really nice flavour too, so very tasty. The fish on the inside is soft and succulent, really juicy and delicate. You can tell this is a fresh piece of fish you're eating. The skin doesn't really affect anything, I think it just adds an extra slight crisp and chew, but not too noticeable. The fish is the star though, really moist and juicy. It just flakes and melts in your mouth as you chew. The flavour of the haddock is more delicate than others I've had, but it's a great piece of fish. Before we do some combo bites, I forgot about the tartar sauce, so let's try it out. It says homemade on the bottle, and I think these are always better than the sachet kind. Let's get it out onto the plate and dip in a chip. Here it goes. Very nice. It's creamy and has a sharp tang to it, which goes perfectly with the fried chip. Right, I think it's combo bite time. Let's start off with a simple one. The classic, fish with chips. Delicious. And how about adding in some of that great mushy peas, which would add an extra layer of tangy peas flavour. Amazing. This might add an even more tangy flavour. The fish, chips, mushy peas and tartar sauce. The perfect bite. And we just have to do one with the curry sauce too, adding a bit of that fruitiness into the mix. This has got to be up there as some of the best fish and chips I've had, from the fish to the chips and mushy peas. And I can now see why it's so popular and has lines queuing down the street before it even opens. The place filled up pretty quickly whilst I was in there, and by the time I finished there wasn't many free tables around. A good little treat they also do is give you a sweet with the bill, which I thought was a nice touch. What a great fish and chips that was. The fish in particular was delicious. It was juicy, soft and succulent. You could taste how fresh it was. So the total cost of that meal was £22.05, which is a little expensive, I have to say. But the Magpie Cafe is one of the most popular fish and chip shops in Whitby. I mean, before it even opened, when I arrived, there was already a queue down the street. So that just shows how popular the place is. Right, so that was fish and chips from Whitby. Let's move on to Scarborough. So one of the best rated fish and chip shops in Scarborough is a place called the Lifeboat Fish Bar. It's a pretty small chip shop in comparison to others, but it does go further back into the building where you have the dining section. If you want to visit this place, opening hours are only Friday to Sunday, which is a bit limited, so you need to plan your visit. The dining area is quite modest with only a few tables, but feels open and light with the big windows. The decor is nice too with the wood and pastel colours. The menu is a decent size with all the usual chip shop classics, which I might have to try sometime, but for now I'm here for the haddock and chips. Cod is available if you fancy that too. The condiment section on each table is pretty standard with salt and vinegar, ketchup and tartar sauce, which I'll for sure be trying later on. I ordered a tea with my meal as before, and again it comes with a jug of hot water for an extra cup of tea if you fancy that. Right, let's get making the first cup before the food arrives so we can have a quick drink and get ourselves ready for this fish and chips. And here it is. What a great looking plate of food this is. I think it's presented really well. Let's have a closer look at what you get. I got a huge piece of fish with some great looking batter, which I can't wait to try. A decent portion of chips that seem a bit different to normal. A pot of mushy peas. And a pot of curry sauce. Let's dig in. I'm going to start with adding on the salt and vinegar. There's a bit of a debate though, with some saying to add vinegar on first and some saying salt first. So which method do you use? Comment below. The chips are always the first thing I start with, and these are a little different to the Whitby ones. They're smaller and thinner. They have a bit more colour on them too. Let's see how they taste. Very good. They have more of a crisp and crunch to the outside, and more of a fried flavour too. I think it could be down to them being smaller and having more surface area to fry. The inside is soft and floury with a nice potato flavour. Good chips. Let's move on to the mushy peas. They're a good thick texture. I've got a good bit on the chip. Let's go in for a taste. Not bad. They have a really subtle pea flavour and the texture is good. I think they could do with a bit of a stronger pea flavour and that would boost it up a notch, but as it is, it's decent. Let's see what the curry sauce is like. Again, a good thick texture, which is always the way with mushy peas or curry sauce. The colour is good and the chip is coated nicely. Let's go in for a bite. Pretty good. You get a subtle curry flavour which is warming and a slight kick too. Again, I think it could do with a bit more of a stronger curry flavour to lift it up a notch, but nevertheless a pretty good curry sauce. And how about the tartar sauce? It says it's creamy and great with fish and seafood, so let's find out if that's true or not. The chip is such a versatile food with any type of side and sauce, and this is no exception. Let's try it. Very nice. It's creamy with a bit of a tang and a mustard flavour too, which is unusual, but I like it. Right, I think it's time for the fish. I've been waiting all meal for this, and I have a hunch it's not gonna disappoint. The batter is perfectly golden brown and a bit more of a smoother one, but either way it looks really appetising. So let's dive in. I'm going to start with cutting it in half and seeing what the fish is like in the middle. Have a look at that. There's a lovely white colour to the fish. You can see the way it flakes. We just have to go in and eat it. I've cut off a piece here with the batter on it. There's only one thing left to do. Incredible. The batter is light and crispy, it's got a great fried taste, and it's more of a thin one, but really nice. The fish, that is delicious. The flavour of the haddock is great, and flakes away as you bite into it. This is also one of the thickest pieces of fish I've seen. I mean, look how big the chunks of fish you can get out of it. And it's full of flavour too. It's a big meaty piece of haddock rather than the thinner one at Whitby. I like it. It feels like you're eating a fish steak, if you can imagine that. Okay, I think it's time for some combo bites. We always have to begin with the classic, fish with chip. Delicious. And this is one that I've been looking forward to. The mustard tartar sauce with the fish and chips. This one should be good. Amazing. Let's do it with the mushy peas too. It's such a classic bite, and with that meaty fish, I can't wait, so let's do it. Really nice. And now on to the curry sauce. It's one of my favourite sides and the flavours just combine so well together. So let's try this one out. Delicious. The fish and the chips here is top quality. Really nice. I'm surprised this place is only open 3 days a week. It's a bit of a hidden gem, I think, as it's a bit hidden away, not on the main strip. The meal was amazing, and I happily finished this up in no time at all. What an amazing fish and chips that was. The fish was delicious. It was probably one of the thickest pieces of haddock I've ever had, but it was really tasty. So the total cost of that meal was £16.55. So what was the difference between the two? Well, let's start off with the sides. So I think Whitby takes it with the sides, especially with the mushy peas. They tasted better at Whitby, but with the curry sauce, probably about the same. The fish, they were great in their own way. The Scarborough one, really thick and meaty piece of fish, really nice. At Whitby, it was thinner, more delicate and juicy, but both great. The chips, I would say probably a draw. So which was the better fish and chips? Comment down below which one you preferred. For me, it's a tough decision. The fish and chips were great at both places, but I think the mushy peas sways it for Whitby. But they were a lot more expensive, so bear that in mind if you ever visit. Okay, if you like this video and want to see more, click on the thumbs up icon below and click on subscribe to come along for the next food journey, and I'll see you in the next one.